Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Andrew from American Musical Supply. Thanks so much for joining me live here on YouTube today. Today, we're going to be talking about a product from a company called ASI Audio. And this is a product that's designed to be used with in-ear monitors. It's the ASI Audio 3D ME BT Gen 2. And I'll just share a little story with you first, and then I'll explain why this product is helpful and perhaps necessary. But if you've never used in-ear monitors before, it can be a very isolating experience. And I'll share with you the first experience I had using in-ear monitors. At the time, I was playing for an artist, and we were doing some fly dates on a national tour. And we flew into Atlanta, and we got to a venue that was, fairly decent size, almost 7,000 people, and we show up for sound check. And the monitor engineer says, I don't have enough wedges for you guys, so a couple of you are going to have to use in-ear monitors. So I drew one of the short straws and had to use in-ear monitors, and that was my first time ever. I'd never used them before. And that probably ended up being perhaps the worst show that I played with that artist, for largely because of the inexperience of using in-ear monitors. If you've never used them before, they can be very isolating. They're designed to block out external sound so that you can really focus on what you're hearing. And while that's great from the point of view of being able to control how loud the volume is, where in a loud environment, it does provide some level of hearing protection using that. It's also a downside in that you can't hear what's going on in the ambient environment. And in this particular gig that I did, that was a necessity, because the show sometimes would maybe go a little to this direction or a little to this direction, depending on how the artist was feeling and what they wanted to do at the time. And I remember her calling out a cue for a song, and we started the wrong song instead, and it was just a mess. But if I had a product like this, I dare say that I would have had a better experience. And you might be asking, well, why is that? Well, that's because this ASI audio product, the 3D ME BT Gen 2, is designed to give you some of that ambient sound back, okay? So essentially inside of the kit here, you have these two in-ear monitors, and they each have a microphone, what's called an active ambient microphone in them. So the system is designed to combine the ambient sound of the stage, or whatever venue it is that you're playing with the sound that's being, I guess, piped into your in-ear monitors. And it does that through this pack right here. Okay, so this pack acts as your little preamp. You're going to plug the included IEMs in here to this jack right here, and then you can plug your monitor feed in here, and you can adjust the volume, the overall volume, and then there's a companion app that you can connect via Bluetooth using a tablet or a phone, and I have that on the iPad right here. You're able to adjust the level of the microphones, okay, to blend in, to taste how much of that ambient sound you want to have coming into your in-ears. There's also a limiter there so that you can have a little extra protection over your hearing, and as well as an equalizer, a graphic equalizer, so you can tailor the sound. And there are some other options as well that are really helpful. There's this cross connection, and what that does is that if you have hearing loss in one ear, you can reroute the signal that would normally go to that ear to the other ear, so that you can have the full experience, not just hearing one side of a stereo connection. You can sum that into mono and send it over to one side. Okay, so you can still have the full monitor experience there using your good ear. There's also a startup squeal suppressor, as well as a monitor processing bypass. That's more typically going to be used if you have a dedicated monitoring engineer and you're in perhaps a larger environment where they're going to control the processing of the monitor mix of how it sounds. So then you won't have as much control over the EQ, etc. if the bypass is enabled. Yeah, so you're going to connect to the pack with Bluetooth, and then you have that functionality right there. So some other scenarios where this might be really helpful, might be a really helpful system, is for orchestra musicians. Okay, a lot of times string players, wind players, they rely on being able to hear the people that they're playing with to be able to intonate correctly. It can be very disorienting for a string player to have the direct sound of their instrument just in their ears and not really be able to hear what's going on around them, to be able to intonate with other people who are playing the same instrument in a section. So the 3D-ME BT Gen 2 allows for you to be able to hear in the midst of a section, to be able to improve your intonation and generally have a better concert experience. So if you're interested in finding out more about this unit, you can head on over to americanmusical.com. Again, it's called the 3D-ME BT Gen 2, and it's produced by ASI Audio. And thanks so much for joining me today live here on YouTube. And until we meet again, I hope you have a great time making music.